were 5 kids.
5 children.
Yeah.
And then what happened that changed your life?
Now you want to know my real age? I was born in Czechoslovakia in 1940. And I come from a family with 5 children. And all 5 of us during the war were under 10 years old. I was a toddler during the war, and my father was taken first from the home. He was a carpenter, and the Germans were looking for people that know how to do stuff. Then he was taken to a working camp in Slovakia called Novaki. My mother and us 5 children still remained in the house because my mother had documents like she would be Hungarian, but she wasn't. And the reason was that the Hungarian Jewish people were taken later. Usually the people, the Holocaust survivors, are talking about the horrors that they went through. My story is a little bit different in the way that in my story, it shows all the time the miracles that God did to us, my family. And the first of it was when the Germans came for my mom and us 5 children, we ended up in the same camp where my father was. This was one big thing. And during the time in the camp, we were twice on the list to be taken to Auschwitz. And twice they took us off of the list because my father probably was a good worker. And in one point, the partisans that were from different other countries are fighting the Germans. They forced open the gates of that camp and told the people just run away. There were no directions where to go, but everybody left. My parents and us 5 children ended up for 1 week at a Christian family that took us in, but couldn't keep us longer because it was dangerous for them. Then they let us go, and we were looking for a hiding place in the winter in Slovakia, and we were going towards the woods. And on the way somewhere, my parents met some other people, and we ended up in a bunker in the woods for 9 months. In the winter, in the snow. On the way to the woods, there was a carriage and horses going, and my parents asked, maybe begged, the guy to let the kids sit on the carriage because we were walking for such a long time and being tired. And he agreed. And then when we got off that carriage, at one point, a bomb fell on that carriage. then we were survived. We survived again. In the bunker, there were some more families. And I think that the biggest challenge then for my parents, maybe the biggest, was to keep the kids quiet. Because in the forest, you hear the echo. And there was a family there with a newborn baby, and everybody was very stressed when the baby was crying. About food in the bunker, the men used to take turns going to the village and begging for some food, and they succeeded. Okay? And the people were sharing the food. The other thing, okay, we were out of our house probably 3 years, and my parents didn't let us take off our shoes in case we need to run. Even today, in my home, I don't make even one step without shoes. I have it at the back of my mind in case I need to run. I'm not running. I can't run. I have a bad knee. Still.
But that's the effects that still remain from those imprints from your child.
Yes.
Keep your shoes on, you may need to run.
All the time. All the time. The way we got captured by the Germans, 3 weeks before the war was over, one of the gentlemen was going to the village to beg for some food, and he was captured. And they knew it's not just one person hiding in the woods, then he needed to tell them that there are other people too. And they came up to the bunker and told everybody out, and we did. And the lady that had the newborn, one soldier just started shooting and killed her and the baby there. All of us were taken to a village somewhere, to a school building, and it was already 3 weeks before the war was over, and then we got released, and we had another big journey to go home. I think it took us 3 or maybe 4 weeks to come home.
Because you were walking.
Walking. And the house was there. My father's shop was there, but completely empty. Nobody believed that we are going to come back, but we did. And all of it is God's work.
You know, Tova, it's so hard for us to understand, and when we go back to those moments, and I appreciate you giving us that perspective of not just the horrors of what we know was Holocaust, but the miracles of seeing God's hand for many, like your family, and it was beautiful. And your family actually then in 1949, I believe you told me, were able to immigrate to Israel.
Yes.
And live there as a family, and God did beautiful things to help you come through. And obviously so that you could share all these years later a message that is really important. I want you to hear this, please, people, tonight. These people went through that, and they are some of the few who survived. And we have others here who had family members in the Holocaust who did not. But I want you to think about this just a moment. For all of the horror that these people went through, their only crime was being Jewish. How can we get to a place in the world where evil is so tolerated that regimes can come to power that can imprison and murder people because of who they are, what religion they represent, what God they worship, what skin color they have. Listen, this is too barbaric for us to ever allow again. But as one great statesman said, the only thing that needs to happen for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. One of the least things that we can do is bless causes, as you've seen tonight, in humanitarian efforts in Israel. They are on the front line. They are our ally. And I want you to know, I don't know politically what all is coming. There are some troubling things on the horizon around the world. But I know, as for me and this house, we will always stand with Israel and God.